Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you know, once again, we have Ring of Honor featuring many matches. We do have one proving ground match for the AEW, my bad, for the Ring of Honor Women's World Title. Athena will be facing against Vert Vixen. Let's see if Vert Vixen has what it takes to survive Athena in order to get a shot of the ROH Women's World Title. And then, of course, we'll be seeing very interesting matches, including singles matches between Adam Priest and Tommy Billington. We will see, of course, Máscara Dorada taking on Tony Nese and various other matches as well. And then we move on with TNA. As you know, we witnessed what happened last week with Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers turning their backs on both JDC and Moose, integrating Bear Bronson and Cedric Alexander as their newest acquisitions to join the new system, as you probably can call it. But what is the real reason of what they did last week? Well, we'll find out. And of course, we will find out also what is in the briefcase in the Feast or Fired. Well, three will get an opportunity of title matches, but one will be, how do I say, let's just say they will be have to pack and go. So we'll see what happens until then. And then, as always, we'll wrap up our episode as usual with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers. Let's get to it. So, let's begin with Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor. We opened up with a proving ground match. The ROH Women's World Title. Athena faces off against Vert Vixen. Many of you may have seen her over time, even during the Jacksonville days. She makes her presence known to Challenger. And even though, for those who don't know, I actually met her myself about, what, a year or two ago? I think so. But yes, a real sweetheart. But anyway, as you all know, many people have been giving the nudge, saying, come on, Tony Khan, hire her. So that's one of the things. But I have to say, it was a pretty good match. Not going to lie, Vert Vixen really put on a hell of a performance. But unfortunately, Athena was able, of course, to put her down with the submission. And just like that, she tapped out. And then, of course, Athena likes to do is attack everybody who are, how do I say, not worthy enough to be in her in her ring, and not to mention she had Diamante and Billy Starks do her dirty work until High End and Maya World showed up, who just had enough. So it's great that people showed up right there. Now, remember not too long ago we saw, of course, this woman who's been hanging out, who's been helping out, of course, Carly Bravo. Now we don't know who she is, and Carly introduced her to both Sean Dean and Trish Adora. Now Trish Adora had that look in her face, like this, she's like she wants to vomit. The way, of course, um, Carly Bravo looks at her, the way he talks about her. Her name is revealed to be, of course, Christian. It's with the Y behind the T. So yeah, that's the reason. And yeah, so we'll be seeing her more often there. Now, our next match, we have Anthony Henry of the Workhorsemen taking on, of course, Adam Priest, which is very interesting. For those who don't know, Adam Priest was hanging out with the Workhorsemen, and according to what the commentators were saying, the Anthony Henry and JD Drake were not happy with, of course, him hanging out with Tommy Billington, and Jelito. But it is what it is. But I have to say, it was a pretty good match, very hard hitting. But in the end, it was Adam Priest that was able to pick up the win when he applied just a very basic move, which is the inside cradle. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. But however, of course, we jump into the next match featuring Aaron Solo to take on Tommy Billington. So, of course, um, Aaron Solo was basically in control of the match, had everything right in the right position, tried to take him out. But in the end, it was, of course, two pile drivers by Tommy Billington that put him away. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, Rocky Romero was waiting for Adam Priest. Now, Rocky Romero claims that Adam Priest was bad-mouthing Kazuchika Okada. Now, I saw the look of Adam Priest. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? But, of course, but one thing is for certain, Adam Priest wants to have a match against him, which is something I'm sure he wants. But Rocky is like saying, are you sure that's what you want? Be careful what you wish for. But no doubt that's what he wants. Now, our next match, we have JD Drake taking on Katsuyori Shibata. Well, you can guess that this match was going to be the most hard-hitting match ever, not to mention JD Drake getting manhandled by Shibata, but in the end, Shibata gave a low blow to Drake, and the ref didn't see it, and then he applied, of course, a cross armbar, and just like that, JD Drake had no choice but to tap out. Our next match, we have Lady Bird Monroe, teaming up with Viva Van to take on Maya World and Hyan. As you know, Maya World and Hyan have been the latest acquisitions to be signed with AW, and it's interesting to see. But it was some good moments in this one, but in the end, it was Hyan that picked up the win onto Monroe, and just like that, it was over. But however, of course, Billy Starks and Diamante showed up along with Athena. Athena puts them in the match where they'll be facing all members of Athena's group, and of course, then picking a partner of their choosing. So we'll see how that rolls up from there. Now, our main event is Tony Nese versus Mascara Dorada, and a lot of things took place. Now, of course, many of you saw that idiot, the so-called attorney, his Mark Sterling. Well, he seems that he has an injured arm. Well, it was a fake injury. He's just using it as an excuse. But, however, that didn't stop Mascara Dorada one way or the other. But there was a bit of a miscommunication between both Sterling and, of course, what's his name? And of course Tony Nese. And then we did see a bit of a shooting star press, just like that. 1, 2, 3, done. So I have to say, pretty good event. So that's pretty much it. What happened? So let's end it right here. Move on with some news updates. Okay, TNA. It opened up, of course, with the newly refreshed system, consistent of Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, Bear Bronson, and Cedric Alexander. As you all know, a week ago, JDC announced he retired and picked his replacement, and the replacement was Bear Bronson. And then Eddie Edwards low blowed JDC out of nowhere, and Moose was brutally attacked from out of nowhere. But however, of course, we did see Cedric Alexander show up, and Eddie Edwards revealed that they weren't just introducing one new member, but two. And of course, what was the main reason? Well, Eddie Edwards, of course, is saying to Moose about Moose saying that he was selfish and all this and that. So it was time for him to go. And then, of course, JDC, well, he was telling him that he was riding on their coattails, and that was another main reason. But of course, Eddie Edwards has to deal with the missus. We're talking about his ride or die, Alisha Edwards. As you know, Alisha was totally unaware what was happening. This was kept in closed doors. And of course, Alisha Edwards could not take it, so basically she walked out. Now, we did see an interview with Gia Miller talking to BDE, who is in the match against Nick Menace. If you guys saw what happened last week, well, let's just say Nick Menace was complaining because, of course, he got into a scuffle with Mike Santana, and the BDE and some other guys were playing video games, just minding their own business until, of course, Nick Menace got into them. And then that's where we jump into this match, because BDE is trying to prove the doubters wrong, that he could step up in the same ring with Nick Menace. And that's exactly what he did. He really did the unholy, how do I say, this guy can actually pull it off. And that's exactly what he tried to do. There were moments where we would have assumed it would have been an upset. But however, Nick Menace found an opening, applied the danger zone, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, we did see, of course, Ryan Menace show up. And of course, he had to confront with Mara Shade. Remember, Mara Shade for the last couple of weeks been giving him a super kick. And of course, Nick Menace got away with a dirty win by using the ropes. And then, of course, once again, the same old thing. Even though Mara Shade tried to super kick him, but failed, because later on, Ryan Menace just, decided to clothesline her, and just like that, completely down on the ground. Now, of course, the Elegance brands were celebrating, knowing that Ash by Elegance is in fact back, and it seems that Ash is determined to win back the TNA Knockouts World title, a title that she had to give up. And of course, she's confronted by not only the current champion, but also, of course, Zaya Brookside and Indy Hartwell. And then, of course, Mr. Elegance got in the way, trying to flex up his little muscle and abs and whatever. Indy Hartwell poured the champagne. Now, here's the really interesting part. Well, the ladies, Ash, Heather, and Em, were a bit more distraught over the waste of champagne, while, of course, Mr. Elegance was still flexing his muscle and doing a little striptease. And as for the little chihuahua, well, let's just say he was enjoying the entertainment. Now, that's what I'm talking about. While the other ladies were being dramatic about waste of champagne. I mean, that's what the one thing that is their kryptonite. They don't like champagne to be waste. So I thought it was funny. But we'll see what happens from there. Now, we had Stax taking on the hometown man. But the other time, we have been questioning Ariana Grace's motives. Now, we saw last week Ariana Grace try to, how do I say, kiss and make up with her father after what happened back, of course, on, what was it? It's not Genesis, but it was the last Final Resolution, that sort of thing. But, of course, we've been seeing Ariana Grace try to stop Stax from using weapons and all that. I mean, Stax was able to pick up the win. I mean, he could have done it without the assistance of the belt, but he got the win with using the ropes. And of course, in the back, we did see him confronting Ariana Grace, and Santino was right there watching. So, you probably can guess this is going to be a very interesting moment between everybody. Now, our next match, we have Jason Hotch versus Elijah. As you know, Mustafa Ali and the rest of the Order of Idiots, of course, have been dealing with Elijah, basically going back and forth. Now, as you know, Elijah is not done with Mustafa Ali. So he has to deal with one of his cohorts, of course, Jason Hodge. But of course, we were definitely going to see Order 4 get involved in many ways possible, because that's what they normally would do. But however, Elijah was able to apply like a tombstone, and just like that, it was over. But of course, Order 4 would once again were trying to have him get whacked up by another guitar, but Elijah got away with it. He almost had Mustafa Ali in that position, but that idiot Agent Zero pulled him out. So he was close. So we'll see what that leads up from there. Now in the back, Jada Stone was giving out a little bit of video promo. Of course, now as you all know, she is officially signed with TNA until she was rudely interrupted by Order 4. They were trying to, of course, Order 4 are a bunch of crybabies because they can't stand to lose, and they disrupted Jada Stone's moment. But they decided to pick on her, treat her bad until security showed up and dealt with them. Until Elijah showed up and asked her, "Do you want to walk with Elijah?" Well, yeah, and as was later turned out, Elijah will team up with Jada Stone in a mixed tag match against Mustafa and Tosh Steele. Now, before our next match, we have Daria Ray, who's been assisting now Santino, making her way to the commentary booth. Commentating for the match between Elayna Black and, of course, Ruthie J. Now, obviously, this match was definitely going to go in Elayna Black's favor, and that's exactly what she did. So she picked up the win, and once again, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, the Hardys, as you know, did a little video promo. Well, the Hardys had their, of course, Jeff Hardy got his moment where he got the win against Mustafa Ali. And the Righteous, once again, let's just say that they say they allowed them to win their match. So basically, once again, with the cryptic ways. So we'll see where that leads. Now, many of you guys know the Feast or Fire scenario. Basically, there's 4 briefcases, and one particular briefcase carries the word fire. That means you're done. So this is exactly what happened. Trey Miguel opened his. His contained the TNA International Championship, but before he opened it, he said, "Please, not again." He was worried he was going to get fired. Well, last time, because we all know what happened last time, guys. And of course, Eddie Edwards, as you know, opened his. Well, he got the bigger prize, the TNA World Title. Steve Maclin was next, and that's when the shocking showed up, and that is Steve Maclin had fired, and it was very disappointing. And then, of course, Eric Young, well, he had the X Division title. I wouldn't be surprised if he does the option C, but Eric Young was telling him, "Retribution has finally come at you at last." Basically, Eric Young was trying to teach Steve Maclin a lesson. Now, Mike Santana, as you know, was just minding his own business until he interrupted, was being confronted by, of course, Eddie Edwards. Now, it's no secret that Eddie Edwards would definitely aim for the TNA World Title whenever he wants. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, we did see, of course, Matthew Winroll and Tom Flanagan very emotional about the dismissal of Steve Maclin and Tom Hannigan, who's been one of his closest friends. Well, you can tell it was tearing him up on this one. Very emotional. So, yeah. Now, moving on to our main event, which was a no-holds-barred between, of course, AJ Francis and Rich Swann. Now, as you know, Rich Swann turned on AJ Francis, and his reasons were the First Class was never about the two of them. This was about AJ Francis, and that's exactly what it was the entire time. But man, they used all kinds of weapons. I mean, they used everything humanly possible to destroy each other. But, of course, Rich Swann applied a frog splash while AJ Francis was piled up on a bunch of chairs. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Rich Swann picked up the win. But the entire TNA episode did not end there. It ended with, of course, Daria Ray heading to her office until she was confronted with Frankie Kazarian. Frankie said, "We need to talk." Now, it's unclear what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen from there. We just have to wait and see for the upcoming on Thursday. So stay tuned for that. And I think that's pretty much it with TNA. I believe it's time to end this episode with some news updates. So welcome to our news update. So let's begin with upcoming events. First, let's start with GCW, of course. As you probably may have remembered, they will be making their way to Columbus, Ohio on March 7th for So Alive. They just announced Violence is Forever will be taking on The Outbreak. And then, of course, we have the Las Vegas shows for the Collective taking place. First, we have the Bloodsport 15 on the 17th of April. They just announced Royce Isaacs makes his return. And then, of course, that very same day on the 17th of April, they announced for the MDK Fight Club, Bear Bronson will be participating. Uh, we have, of course, more info what's going on the collaboration between both ROH and Metroplex Wrestling, which is the promotion run by Athena. As you know, they'll have a Global Wars event. They just announced Athena will be teaming up with Billy Starks and Diamante to take on Deonna Purrazzo, Hyan, and of course Maya World. Now, as you know, we have the Canadian promotion two-day show. The first one is Global Wars Canada. They'll be collaborating with Ring of Honor on the 27th of March, and then the 27th H Uprising. They just announced Shelton Jean will be participating. Now, on to some developments here. Many of you may have saw what happened in TNA with Alisha Edwards. It was later revealed that her contract is almost up. Now it's still unclear whether she's staying or going, so we'll just wait and see. Now, as you know, we're getting closer to the Royal Rumble. NXT and AAA, according to Fightful Select, there's been discussions on names who will appear at the Rumble, so we'll see what happens from there. Now, many of you know this already. Bozilla got injured, of course, recently, and apparently she torn an ACL. And this is what she had to say regarding of her injury. Let me pull that up real quick. Come on. Okay, this is what she said. So it says the next chapter will be the road to recovery, and I hope to you keep continuing support me through this chapter of my life. Yeah. So torn ACLs, we know that takes a lot of time for them to recover, and I'm sure therapy is going to be involved, but hopefully she recovers well soon. Mayu Iwatani had something to say about Komomo Minami. As you know, um, Komomo Minami and Mayu, well, they probably met in Stardom, but Komomo Minami never made it her official debut. She was part of the batch with Hanako and Aya Sakura. But Mayu Iwatani had this to say about her. She's sort of like a semi-apprentice to me, just like Io once was for me. I want to nurture her into a wrestler who can grow and alongside me. So basically, she's taking Komomo Minami under her wing, and that's great. I'm sure Komomo Minami will be very helpful to learn a lot from her. Now, speaking of her, apparently she actually said Komomo Minami was asked about how she discovered pro wrestling. This is what she said. There was a big wrestler who used to spear Roman Reigns, right? I was like surprised the power of that wrestler. I was like when I was in the arena to go dark and the lights come back on, the Undertaker would be standing there behind someone, and I thought there's something amazing world there. That's how I started watching pro wrestling. I started with WWE and then started the women's wrestling too, like Stardom. The matches like Akira Kudo versus Shinobu Kandori. So basically, that's how it was for her. So it makes sense why she wanted to join. But I hope she really does learn a lot from Mayu, and I'm sure Mayu is going to make sure she does things right, and hopefully she becomes a far more better wrestler than she hoped she can be. So we'll watch her career very closely. So I think that's pretty much it. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. Well, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do, but I am going to continue with the special episode featuring, of course, the Mighty Gold events. I know this is just a recent new one that just probably will be coming out. I'm not sure if I'll put that in with it, but We'll just see. If I do, great. So I think that's pretty much it. So we'll see what happens. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.